But Pete, as we transition here, a lot of questions. People thinking, hey, is Pete leaving CanesInSight? Is Pete going to leave the podcast? What is Pete doing? So let the people know before we get into the info about it, what you are doing.
Yeah, so I started a private Discord. I'll drop the link in here, and just to clarify, guys, I haven't been writing on the website. I haven't really been posting on the website or doing any written content the last couple years since I've been back in this realm. So I've obviously we do the daily podcast, we do everything social media wise, but I haven't, and I don't say this arrogantly, but I have not had my reporter's hat on. Like I have not been going out there and like really reaching out to people, trying to seek info out. That's changing now. So we're gonna get the work on there. We're gonna get my daily live practice reports. So when I'm out there, I'll be putting all my updates directly there. I'll be probably a little bit more unfiltered than I am here. I'm not gonna be a crazy man, but be available for private message if anyone has questions. I'll be available around the clock, and just a lot more to come there, right? So I'm gonna have also like every morning like an update when you guys wake up, you'll have a video waiting for you for like kind of like the news of the day. I had an important update this morning. You guys gonna want to check that one out. We have Canes 305. Appreciate the support there. But again, I think the good thing is that you guys are still going to get all the perks of it here on the show. So I have an update here that I dropped recruiting wise that I dropped last night. So if you've been on the server, you've had it for like 12 plus hours, but we'll talk about it here in a second. So it's a recruiting update, but yeah, man, I'm getting back into the recruiting updates. We'll be getting a lot of little tidbits, inside info, like the old days, man. Might just pop up with a thread here or there, dropping some nuggets. So, and again, Brandon, there's nowhere to leave. There's nothing. As I'm getting the question again, if I can't clarify it anymore, nothing is changing here with the show. We're going to continue doing the show daily here. I'm just doing written content there again. So, and Senior, hit me up on the side, man. I'll get you in the chat pro bono, man. So I got you. I'll drop the link here for you guys, and then yeah, man, go check it out, and appreciate the support.
All right, man. So let us know though, what is the work? What's going on? I know some of this is only for Discord subscribers, but give us a little preview of what they might see on there.
Yeah, so we'll start just with team stuff, and a lot of it really from yesterday was from the practice itself and just general things I'm hearing. But we've talked a lot about just skimming through it. The running back room obviously looks great physically, D, but Gerard Pringle, from people I talked to around the O-line room, he's an interesting one because the offensive lineman, he's a different player to block for, right? He's a completely different sort of back. He kind of like, he'll disappear behind them and then all of a sudden shoot through a hole. And I don't know what you've seen, right? I don't know necessarily if you would agree with that, but I think for a defense looking at it, if you're seeing one type of back the whole game, and obviously the three other guys in front of them right now, I think they're different backs in general, but they're all 210, 215, 220 plus. Fletcher being closer to 230. So it's a way different look for the defense.
Change up, right? We talk about the baseball pitching analogy. I mean, you see a lot of people say, hey, it's better to have a bullpen of different types of players, different types of pitchers. I was actually just talking about this yesterday on a big league show, which I do with my boy, former MLB executive, Adrian Lorenzo. Check that out on YouTube, EL Big League Show. But he was talking about how bullpens, people don't always want 5 guys to throw 100. They might want different looks just to switch up hitters, to have matchups. And I think Pringle is a different look than what you have with Fletcher, with Lyle, with Marty Brown. Those guys are maybe heavy sinker ball pitchers. He's coming with the 100-mile-an-hour heat, man. He is a home run hitter, to use a different baseball analogy on the other side of the ball, but he is absolutely explosive. What makes him really interesting is that he has not only speed, track speed, like 10.6, 10.7 type track speed, but he also has quickness to go along with it. Josh Gross asked him to Pringle faster than Lyle. I mean, he's smaller than Lyle. So, like, if you like just adjust it for size and speed, Lyle's pretty talented in that way. But if you just talk pure speed, Pringle is the fastest back. And I think it is a good changeup.
One of the more interesting things I had in the notebook yesterday in the work, D, was, and this isn't just from what I'm seeing from the media viewing portion, but people who are there at practice. Emory Williams, man, he looks better. He looks like and I'm comparing it based off of the last time we saw him. I'm not even comparing it to what we saw previously. But if you do want to go back to previously, the arm looks live. The arm looks different. I think someone said that Barry Jackson wrote something last week about how he did a lot of work in the offseason about, improving core strength and becoming more athletic. And without having even read that or seen those comments, like I've noticed it. It just seems like he's got a little bit more of a pep in his step. He's got some more juice overall. And I know these terms are a little bit general, but it looks like there's more. Like there was one pass in particular yesterday where I couldn't see who threw the ball, and I legitimately thought it was a Carson Beck ball, just how it came off the hand. And then I looked and it was Emory. So I don't know if you would agree with me on that, but I think for sure right now that guy is the QB2, and then I would have Luke Nickel behind him and Judd Anderson behind him there.
I would agree that he is QB2, and I would agree that he's improved a lot. He just looks, more athletic. He's running more. I mean, look, this guy's not going to be John Elway or Johnny Manziel, but he is getting more, he looks more athletic, stronger, better shape, all the things that happen when you work hard, which he does. Great intangible guy. He's now year 3 in the offense.
Now, I think the questions about the upside will be there still. We already have a comment here from Rod saying, "Oh no, here come the state media." But I personally am more confident that if it comes to it, this guy can step in and win a game or two for Miami. You get to the later part of the season, again, in a worst case scenario, I don't think Miami's beating a Clemson in an AC championship game with him at quarterback. I don't think that they have a chance to beat many teams in the playoffs.
Although, look, he beat Clemson and K. Klubnik.
Completely different Clemson teams. So
same quarterback. Peter Woods was there. TJ Parker was there. The guys that dominated on our end were Rauno and
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but we can revisit it. But I am a lot more confident based on what I've seen that what you saw against Iowa State would not be the case next season. And that's what I'm comparing it to, D, because you can't throw him out there if it's what you saw against Iowa State. And by the way, from what I heard, he didn't look great in practice last year either. So like if he looks better in practice now, that's a huge step in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think that's positive. Familiarity is important. 3rd year in the system, 3rd year of working on his body. Stuff just adds up. I'm a big believer in quarterback experience in this day and age. I think that's what the portal gives you. Is in the olden days, if you had a young quarterback, you had to go through lumps. And that was just part of the thing. You had to go through those lumps to get the player that you wanted at the end of the rainbow, right? The end of the process, you had the player you wanted, but you had to go through it. With the portal, you can kind of skip that step. And we talked about that with guys like Beck. In Emory's case, he's had experience. He's played in games. He's gone through lumps. He's practiced as more of a backup. So now you're going to have a very experienced backup who's gone through a lot of stuff and been able to improve. So I like our situation there. Obviously, Carson Beck going down would be as impactful as if any starting quarterback, Lenore Sellers, K. Klubnik, you can go down the line. You do not want to lose your starting quarterback, Arch Manning, whatever. But I think Emory, with his experience, is going to be able to run your offense and give you a chance to win.
A few more notes I'll share, and again, a lot of this is in more detail on the Discord. And then we'll get into the recruiting note that I dropped, D. But one of the notes I had was about Samson in particular. So we talked about that. But Hayden Lowe, again, it's I don't know if it's weird, but I feel like normally there might be more hype about a 5-star freshman who looks how he looks. Like, we keep saying he looks great, but I mean, talking to people around the team, there's a belief that this guy could be one of our best 3 or 4 defensive linemen by the end of the year.
What has shocked me,
like, there's a belief right now that the best package is with him on the field right now. So, that's one that I think we need to really keep on the radar, because we're excited about some of the other highly rated guys who are in front of him. But don't sleep on him, man.
Look, you put Justin Scott, who's a 5-star player, physically great. I was around him yesterday, man. He is the most physically impressive defensive lineman, at least defensive tackle. He looks strong and powerful. Justin Scott, you know how athletic he is as well. So put him there. Put Armando Blunt next to him. Armando Blunt obviously playing more end, but he can play defensive tackle. Put Armando Blunt next to him. Physical, 5-star, explosive. Put Hayden Lowe and Ruben Bain on the outside. That's a lot of power. That's 3 5-star players plus Ruben Bain. I mean, so that's starting to look to me, Pete. I'm not saying it's Georgia with Jaden Davis and Jalen Carter. Or sorry, what's his name? What's Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter? I'm not saying it's that, but it's looking Georgia-ish when you have those 3 5-stars plus Ruben Bain on the field at once. I don't know if that's the package that your source was referring to, but that's a package that I could see.
Say it again, with Ruben Bain.
Ruben Bain and Lowe on the edge, and then Blunt and Scott inside.
That's not the one, but that sounds fun too.
Yeah, you got a lot of options when you have a lot of 5-star
Mesidor. I think people inside the building still think Mesidor is one of the top 4 right now.
I think he's one of the top 4. I was just thinking about just kind of like looks and stuff.
Dangerous. Yeah. Athletically, what's going to scare you? Yeah.
Mesidor's doing great. I'm a big Mesidor fan. Mesidor is doing great and looks better than last year in this particular scheme. He was out of position last year playing defensive tackle. I think he's doing, even rushing inside, he's better off doing that when he's lighter. So I think he's right where he needs to be, and he's poised for a big year. But Hayden Lowe, we interviewed him, Pete. We always kind of go back to these interviews because you can learn a lot just by the impression you get. It's like do a job interview, right? I mean, you learn a lot in a job interview. You don't learn everything. You can get tricked sometimes, but there's a reason why every company does job interviews. And I think with Hayden Lowe, this guy could apply for a job at Goldman Sachs and get it. By the way, he looks like, a freak of nature that's going to shake Roger Goodell's hand. So you combine those two things, and then the fact that on the field he's very, very physical. Him and Blunt are probably the 2 most, I think, like just nasty defensive linemen in terms of just relentless, borderline dirty, always trying to get contact. Those are also probably your 2 smartest guys and your 2 5-stars. Just I keep going back to that because it's important. I love that combination with both those 2 guys.
For those of you who are new here, this is a weighted vest that I'm wearing. So, a few more things here, and then we'll get to. Actually, you know what? Let's get into the recruiting scoop that I had posted, and got over 1,000 watching us live right now between YouTube and X. So remember to hit that like button if you're on X, and head over to YouTube and subscribe to us there. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We go live every single day. So I'll pull this post up here just so you guys can actually see what the page looks like, and you can see this is the sort of stuff you'll be getting. I'm not going to be writing full length feature articles, but you're going to be getting these sort of updates. And here it is. This is an update on Jamar Owens. This is a player that we spoke about a few weeks ago, and when we spoke about him, we talked about him with like 3 other defensive backs, and we were talking about him almost as if he was a new offer. So last week, I was told that not only was this an old offer, this was an offer from back in January that Corey Heatherman himself had actually delivered in person, right? And
let me pull up the film now, Pete. So pull the film so people can see what you're talking about. Now they've seen.
I have it here ready. I'll pull it up right now. So this is a player in Jamar Owens who is currently committed to Indiana, but I wanted to get to the backstory real quick, D, because again, Corey Heatherman offered him back in January, and you know how these in-person offers are. When you get an offer in person, it's because the coach is verifying that size. He did it. He offered him at the school, and he was there with Mario as well. So a player that, as you've seen the first two plays of the highlight, is he's showing the physicality, showing the ball skills and range. Miami likes this player a lot. And again, I was told last week, as I posted there on the page, that Miami was expecting him to be coming in here, setting up a visit in the early part of the season. I was talking to Jamar yesterday, and he confirmed with me that is the case. That he's going to be coming out to a game here. So we'll see which one he ends up making it out to. But I would keep this guy in terms of, we talked about different defensive backs that are on Miami's radar at this point, as Cortez Redding, obviously a big commitment recently, but they need to add another safety. And yeah, man, this is a big time athlete, as you're seeing, 3-star recruit, but this is a 4-star type of player to me all day, just watching the film. And I like the fact that it was an in-person offer. There's something about that excites me, D.
Yeah, no, because you can see the body type, you can see the demeanor. I saw him. We watched all these highlights, right, for all these Atlanta area safeties that we offered after we lost out on Blake Stewart, another Atlanta area safety. Got a commitment from Cortez Redding, another Atlanta area safety, just a loaded area. But when we looked at all those guys, this was my favorite one, at least based on what we had, the evidence we had in front of us, that these junior highlights. Just looked long range. He could tackle, made plays with the ball in the air, played with good demeanor. He looked to me like a high level SEC, playoff type of safety. Guy that Miami needs to get more of. I used to say Miami type of safety, but we haven't been there yet. So we got to get back to saying Miami safety, right? As of now, you got to say SEC safety because that's who's producing them. And I think he's that kind of guy. Or Big Ten, right? He's committed to Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana has done a great job of evaluating, probably better than just about anybody. Think back to D'Angelo Pons from Chaminade, right? Who, not to toot my own horn, but I had him as one of my underrated players in the city or in South Florida. Ended up going to James Madison with Signetti, falling into Indiana. Now he's one of the best players in the country, South Florida guy. So I think Indiana is a place that does a great job evaluating all positions, particularly defense. They really, I think, played a punch above their weight defensively with a lot of guys that were at James Madison before they were at Indiana. And I think this is a guy that's been evaluated well and has a chance to be a really good player.
Yeah, we said it right away that out of I think it was 4 different guys we were talking about. This was maybe a month ago that we had this show, and we both said it without even talking about it before the show, that this was our favorite of the bunch. And look, I'm not saying he's the only one. I'm sure there's going to be other guys that are setting up visits. A lot of this stuff is exploratory, so to speak, but I'm excited that he has some things in motion here. And I would think it's a pretty enticing situation for him, considering there's only one safety committed, right? So see what happens.
Yeah. And also remember, senior film is in the mix too. So like some of these guys, we talked about the whole clump of Atlanta safeties, and they all look pretty good. It's not like one of them was Sean Taylor and the other ones were bums, but who knows what the senior film holds? There might be a name that we're not talking about that you watch the first few games of senior year, you're like, holy moly, this is the guy we need. So I think that's part of it too, is evaluating who does well as seniors, who takes a leap, how they look in their first few games is going to be important, I think, when you talk about the expanded board at safety and at defensive tackle. Birdstone, by the way, appreciate you saying, if you're at that stadium checking it out, let us know who looks good. Then we got a lot of Georgia Canes, a lot of Georgia recruits. So any Georgia Canes that see these guys, let us know.
This is a little off topic. We had a lot of questions about DT number 4, and since we were just talking about D tackle, I think something that people are kind of forgetting too is that there's going to be a lot of moving a Bain inside, moving a Mesidor inside, an Armando Blunt. That we're talking about DT4, but it really be in terms of like snaps at the position, they may be DT like 6.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the Hayden Lowe can do it, Blunt can do it, Bain can do it, Mesidor can do it. So there's a lot of guys that can make things happen.
A lot of questions about Justice Fitzpatrick. You got anything there, D?
I'm doing some digging. I've heard things, but I don't know. I've heard mixed things, I guess is a better way to say it. I'll do some digging on that. But I think all options are on the table. I really think senior years for a lot of these guys, and it's not about Justice Fitzpatrick, but the position in general. That was the message that was relayed to me is like, we're watching and observing and getting ready to move at safety. I don't, like Cooper, I think they're trying to flip. Tristan Keys, I think they're trying to flip. Um, James Johnson, some other defensive tackles are trying to flip. But as far as like a Blake Stewart, he's probably going to go to Clemson. So I think more than trying to flip a guy like that, they would be more focused on finding these next group of guys and observing what they do as seniors.
D, I know you want to get to baseball, so we'll get to that now. Real quick here, Birdstone Lightbody says Kenton Dobson is has reclassified and is pretty locked in, but got to watch Texas. Yeah, that one I think Miami is expecting him to, finish that process off of reclassifying, but I think that's going to be a battle. That'll be a very interesting one to watch, man. I think Miami's going to have a tough one on their hands there.
Yep, we'll stay tuned. We'll keep an eye on that situation. These reclasses are always tricky, but that's the work, man. Peter, yeah, like I said, he's not going anywhere, but support him and what he's doing, and we'll keep giving you the best info here on CanesInSight and on the what's the official name of the Discord?
The work. It's the work basically. The work. Miami Hurricanes intel from Peter Ariz. There you go.
There you go. So you know where to find us. And we'll keep giving it to you.
And we will talk basketball in there as well. Scuba Steve is asking, so I will have the scoop. Timotei Malovich looked good, man.
Yeah, those highlights you sent me were impressive.
Go ahead, D.